Hello, everyone. Welcome to Durrett's Take. Let's get started with some breaking news. So Carson Wentz is going to Indianapolis. Um, shouldn't come as too much surprise. Indy gave away only a 2021 third-round pick and a 22-round second-round pick, but that's conditional, and it's conditional on if Wentz starts 75% or 75% of his games next season. Um, so in my opinion, I feel like that's a very good deal for Carson Wentz. Now, what I was forget to mention yesterday was that Carson Wentz actually had to make up his mind about Chicago or Indy because Chicago offered more. So Philly said, "Okay, if you don't mind going to Chicago, we're going to deal you there. But if not, then we'll have to accept Indy's price." I guess that's what happened. Um, but in conclusion, what does this mean for the Colts? Because we already know what it means for the Eagles. But what does this mean for the Colts? I feel like having Carson Wentz there, reunite with Frank Wright. Um, I feel like that could bolster his confidence. I feel like they could make him perform better. I mean, there's still some things that even reunite with him, I feel like may or may not be able to solve. Like, for example, he's accumulated more health problems since he was last with Frank Wright, and he has also just like gotten more arrogance, got digressed even more, like stuff like that. So it's just like he could turn around Frank White maybe. Carson being reserved to the Colts. I feel like he could potentially go like a 9-7, maybe sneak into the playoffs. I could definitely see that happening. Maybe he can put on a Ryan Tannehill basically, and with a new team, new coach, and everything, just magically transform to a near Pro Bowler type of thing, like he was back that one magical season he had. But like I said, I feel like they can go 9-7. But if you were to ask me today, now are the Colts Super Bowl contenders? The answer is no. Now he has it. Carson Wentz will be in a not easy division, but the easiest division in the AFC, which he was just in the easiest division in NFC. So that's good for Carson. But in the playoffs, you're gonna have to face Mahomes. You're gonna have to face Josh Allen most likely. You may have to face Justin Herbert if the Chargers continue to get better. Um, and if Watson can stay in the AFC, then you're gonna have to face Deshaun Watson. Um, so it's just so I don't see a Super Bowl in the near future because of this move. But it's obviously not too much of a risk for Andy. Just sacrifice 1 year to see if he's still got it or not, and you don't have to give it too much. And if not, then the Colts know, okay, next year we really got to go for a quarterback. But it's be interesting what happens. So now transitioning to basketball. Let's talk about NBA. So Utah head coach Quinn Snyder has been named the head coach for the West All-Star team, and which is actually the first Jazz coach since 1984, which is surprising because Jerry Sloan coached there for 2 decades, and he's a very good coach, one of the all-time greats. And then obviously Doc Rivers for Philadelphia, who coached the East. I'm not surprised there. The All-Star reveal will be tonight, so I'm going to go ahead and make my final predictions on who makes the All-Star team. So let's start off with the West. So the first starting guard will be Steph Curry. He's having MVP-like numbers. Now his team sucks, which is A, the reason why he's having MVP-like numbers, and B, the reason why he's not going to end up winning MVP or being like in the top 2 or 3 category type of thing just because he's not that great. So, but luckily for All-Star, that does not matter if your team's good. It just matters if you're good. So I feel like Steph deserves that spot. Now again, for the other guard spot, you have to decide, okay, are we going to finally reward Damian Lillard the starting spot, or are we going to stick with Luka Doncic? Especially if he's that last game could be the deciding factor between Portland and Dallas, where literally hits the clutch shot, and Luka does even know Luka scored more type of thing and had the better game. But it'll be interesting what happens there. I won't be mad or shocked either way because but I'm just going to go ahead and still stick with Luka Doncic because I feel like he's just the more popular player. Um, and then Kawhi Leonard, I guess, my first forward. That's obvious. And then LeBron James, my second forward. That's obvious. And then Jokic, the Joker for the center. That's obvious. There's no disputing that. Okay, so now for the bench, you got Damian Lillard, obviously Portland. You got Paul George for the Clippers, assuming he's going to be ready by then with his toe injury. He's dealing with that right now. You got Donovan Mitchell for Utah. You got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for OKC. He's been playing really well. You got Zion Williamson making his first All-Star appearance for the Pelicans. I feel like De'Aaron Fox, the point of Sacramento Kings, has earned his spot there. And then this is the hard one as far as who I feel like should get the last spot here. But I'm just going to go ahead and go with Devin Booker. In my opinion, he could have gone Devin Booker or even CP3, either or. I feel like you can't go wrong with either. But I'm going to go with Devin Booker, though. And then Anthony Davis would have been it, but since he just got injured and most likely will be out, he needs a replacement. So that replacement, I have it being Rudy Gobert. And I know he's not flashy or anything like that, but what he does is rebounding, defense, which I know those two things don't matter as much in an All-Star game. What he's doing on those two things specifically is just so dominant. I feel like he deserves to be back in. And then I know Christian Wood probably would have made it if he didn't get injured, so I'm not sure if there's going to be sub there. And again, I know CJ McCollum's been out for a long time, but if he never got injured, no, he would have been there. So I'm not sure if they're going if Rudy Gobert is going to be the only replacement, especially if players like LeBron said, no, I'm not going to play. There definitely might be more replacements, so we'll just have to kind of see how that develops. Whereas right now, I think I only have one replacement. And also notice that Rudy Gobert could need more forwards in your backup. Because right now I only had Zion Williamson as the other forward, so you need more. So that's why I had Rudy Gobert as well. Because on the bench you need to have at least two forwards. All the rest could be more guard heavy. So now for the East. So for my first guard is Kyrie Irving. Now in the games he does play, he's been spectacular. I'm putting on a show. He deserves it. And then the other guard is Bradley Beal. He definitely deserves it despite Washington sucking. He's been one of the best players, and if his team was in the top 5 at East or something, then he would be the MVP favorite. That's how good he's been. For Kevin Durant, obviously, for Giannis, obviously, and the center Joel Embiid, obviously. That's all obvious. So for the bench, you got James Harden, obviously. Jaylen Brown, obviously, making finally his first All-Star appearance. Has been playing really good. Nikola Vucevic for Orlando's been playing really good. And then you got Trae Young for Atlanta. I feel like he's been doing just fine. And then here are some kind of surprise ones. I got Jeremy Grant for Detroit. Now I know Detroit sucks, but Jeremy Grant has taken the next step like I thought he was to now. Okay, you're just a good starter. Or you're just a good role player to now. Okay, now you're a borderline all-star. You're taking your team. You're clear to establish yourself as the best player on the team and on a night-to-night basis. And I feel like he deserves a spot. And the other one who deserves a spot is Julius Randle for the New York Knicks. The reason the New York Knicks are even in playoff contention right now is because of him, and he's been performing. He's performing at his best ever. Like he's performing really well, and I feel like he deserves a spot. And then the last spot, in my opinion, goes to Zach LaVine. Again, Chicago's not that great, but Zach LaVine just keeps on improving every single year, just getting better. And I feel like this is his first chance to finally not get snubbed for the All-Star game. So there you go. So you got the East and West. So now for a couple snubs that deserve honorable mentions. I feel like Fred VanVleet deserved. You can make a case for him, especially recently the way he's been playing. You can make a case for Chris Middleton to get back in there, but I just feel like he's dipped a little bit compared to his past couple of years. Brandon Ingram for the West Side, you can make a case there, and Domantas Sabonis, you could definitely make a case there. And Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum, the reason why I don't have him in the conversation is because he had COVID, and since COVID, he hasn't been performing as normal as he should have, so that's why he's not in there. In a normal circumstance, he would be, but not this time. And I can't think of any other. Obviously, there's probably a couple more that I'm forgetting about, but those are my top 5 snubs. So we'll see tonight how this is kind of similar to mine. So now transition to college basketball for a little bit. The NCAA came out like a week ago and said that conferences will determine who their champion is. It's surprising that instead of setting the rules, setting the ground, if you will, they're just going to let conferences decide to do what they want. We just saw how that went in college football. Not great. What's also interesting is that in the means of a conference can say no tournament, whoever is the regular season champ gets an out. It's very interesting. So again, like I said a month ago, it's a very interesting dilemma for these conferences. For example, there's been reports for the WCC conference that Gonzaga and BYU could opt out of their the tournament, since they're BYU needs to win at least one games to make sure they're firmly in, but they should be in, and obviously Gonzaga is firmly in. Since they're both in the tournament, they're like, well, there's no need for us to risk any COVID or risk a bad loss in general. So it's like, we're not going to play. So now the WCC has to decide, okay, well, are we still going to go forward with the tournament and whoever wins the tournament gets our auto bid, or are they going to say, no, Gonzaga, regular season champ, quit best team, they get our auto bid. And you can still have the tournament if you want, but Gonzaga's going to get the automatic bid. So that'll be an interesting decision. Now, I know, I know you have to have 7 negatives in a row in order to be clear to play in an NCAA tournament. So I know there's a lot that's worry about. And so if you're a conference that you're going to end right before or on Selection Sunday, that's going to be more of a worry there. But for the WCC, you end a week and a half or so before the first game starts. So in my opinion, I feel like that shouldn't be too much of an excuse. But I understand the point where if someone gets COVID, they could potentially have the lingering effects of COVID, so they might not be performed up to par. That's why Jason Tatum, for example, NBA hasn't been performing that well recently, because he's still having those lingering effects. So I understand that side of the argument. But other than that, I feel like it again just depends on the conference. So far from what I see, I feel like I see the Big 10, Big 12, ACC. I'm seeing them so far; they're all still on track to play. So I guess what in the end this might come down to the non-Power 5 conferences as far as what they're going to want to do. By the way, every week I give my bubble update on Twitter, so go check it out, Durrett10, or my Twitter title being Durrett's Take. So that's it for today. Thank you very much for listening to my comments. Please, please subscribe to my channel to learn about me. Thank you very much. You have a wonderful day. And tomorrow I'm going to be talking a lot more about the NFL rumors, stuff like that, so stay tuned. Thank you very much.